Hello, my name is Angelica Camposano. I graduated from the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley in 2017 and had been teaching ever since. The different settings that I've taught in are private Christian schools, Montessori schools, and public schools, which is where I'm currently at. With all these experiences that I have gained, I feel that I'm very well adjusted to the type of teacher that I want to be. And the two different dispositions I feel like I possess to make me a successful teacher are the respect of diversity of others and high expectations for students. I come from the Valley, which is in deep South Texas. It is on the border of Mexico. And growing up, there was everybody who looked and sounded just like me. It's a very Mexican Hispanic area that I come from, and I've never felt misrepresented or that I didn't belong because I was surrounded by so many people who looked and sounded just like me. Once I moved to Houston, it was a big difference from where I grew up, went to school, and first started teaching. And my first class that I taught here in Houston was an ESL class. So I had students from different parts of the world that English was not their first language. And I felt like I needed to make connections quickly for students in order to have a safe learning environment. And one way that I did that was opening up about my own cultures, foods, traditions that I did growing up and still do. Things like showing them pictures of my favorite taqueria or pictures of the foods that I enjoy the most or things that I miss because I was new to Houston. Traditions that we had during Christmas time or even, things that I did for Mexican holidays. This gave the students an opportunity for them to open up about foods and traditions and music and things that they enjoyed and made them who they were. And I feel like being able to give students the platform in order to do that, I feel like it made our learning environment very positive and encouraged students to use that in their writing, to use that in their poetry, to use it in the presentations when we went over informational units and things like that. And it also showed them that I could be respectful of where they're coming from and that they can use that example for them when meeting new people from different places. Curiosity is an amazing thing, and when it is paired with respect, many opportunities can blossom from that. Having high expectation is something that I have always had, even when I first started teaching. Students are coming from different backgrounds, and every single year they are coming with different levels in whatever content I'm teaching. In English, or in language arts or social studies, even, those are the subjects that I teach. Students are coming with either a lot of knowledge or little to no knowledge. And I feel that in the beginning of the year to set, I'm not going to say strict goals, but clear goals and expectations for students as far as how I want them to be in the classroom and how I will handle myself is really setting the tone for the year. These goals are things that can be something simple as making sure that we're using a specific format when drafting and submitting essays. And they're non-negotiables. This is what I expect. This is what's going to happen. Or something as far as when we are doing blended learning and doing rotations, this is the way that I need it to look, to sound, and to feel. Having those expectations set students up with a routine, and it helps them be successful in the classroom, and also for me to have less behavior in the classroom for me to have to handle while I'm doing small group and things like that. Something that I also like to have for students is showing them the data between different assessments that they take or with their reading levels. I make sure that I show them the numbers in order for them to have something tangible for them so they understand, oh, I am good and better, or oh, I'm not increasing my numbers, or I'm not going up as many levels as my peers, which helps with a little bit of friendly competition. But I make sure to let them know that this is their learning journey and this is where they're at and this is where we can get them. Giving them these achievable expectations and the data that they see, they're able to grow. And that's something that I just want all of my students to have. Meeting students where they're at and using that data to show them where they're going is very important. Two dispositions I feel that I can grow are professional conduct and honesty. I feel that I do already possess these two professional dispositions, but it's an area where I can grow and where I can grow the most. Something that goes along with professional conduct, I feel that time is always my enemy. There's never enough time in the day for me to get as many things as I have on my to-do list in the morning. Something that I use to help with that are timers. I have a lot of timers on my phone that go off to help me stay on track. Deadlines are something that anybody in any profession are going to have, and teachers is very important for us to make those deadlines in order to seem professional, but also to be dependable and for other people to see you as a responsible professional. Um, Time management is something that every single year when I make my goals for my observations and things like that, time management is something that I always bring up as a main goal or maybe as a secondary goal for me, so that way I'm able to track it. With honesty, in the beginning, when I first started teaching, I would promise kids, oh, if we do this, then we can get this. If we read this many books, then we can do this. Life gets ahead of us, and I get it really ambitious with what I want it to look like, and it falls through. Being honest with my students and saying, oh, well, I didn't have time to go to the store to do this or to do that, or our schedule has changed for today because we have an assembly. I feel that it is important to tell your students what's going to happen and have those things actually happen. Um, Never want to let a student down. And through the years, I have learned to keep it to myself and then to present it to the students when everything is set and ready. I love the excitement and the surprise when I tell students, oh, we're going to have a Starbucks day, which in my classroom, Starbucks day is they get to bring their favorite drink to school. That's appropriate. That's always key. We make it appropriate. No Cokes, no energy drinks. Something that's good for them. With the cat, they bring it. We put on our headphones. We listen to music, and we act like we're in a coffee shop like Starbucks. You don't know each other. You're not allowed to talk to one another. You are just there, and you're doing your work. Something so simple, but they love it. And I feel like whenever I tell them that we can do that, I have to have everything set so that way things don't fall through and I don't let them down. Another thing that goes with honesty is for me to speak my piece on specific subjects or decisions that are made within my team or within the committees that I'm a part of. Given an example, there are different resources and different approaches that I have to specific units on how I like to do them or how I've done them in the past, but the team I'm currently on doesn't want to do that or doesn't want to use the resource or doesn't want to take this for a grade because X, Y, and Z. I feel like it is important for me to speak my piece in a professional manner and let them know that this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it, and this is how I feel like it can benefit the students or our team. The job that I want to get isn't to be an instructional specialist, and that is an administrative position. And I feel like with me practicing those things now will only prepare me for certain situations that may arise when I get that position. As I move up into maybe a director of curriculum and instruction position, I feel like it'll be a lot easier for a transition when I'm already actively practicing those specific things to show progress in my field. So for what a teacher or an educator professional looks like and behaves like are kind of similar, and I feel like they blend together. Physically, what they look like, anybody, but the way that they dress and the way that they present themselves can be very different. Something that I feel is professional and best for me is to dress for the type of day you're going to have. I live in Texas, which is really hot. I teach elementary school. It's very go, go, go. We have different activities and field trips and things like that that I need to be wearing something that's comfortable yet professional. Something that I would wear not during summertime or springtime because this is very hot in Texas is blazers. I don't want to wear a blazer every single day, yet they are beautiful, they're professional. It's really hot and it is not an everyday item for me because of where I live and the grades that I teach. Something else that I really like wearing are dresses and skirts. I always make sure that when I buy them, they are professional length or an appropriate length. I'm very active, getting up in my chair, sitting down on the floor, getting in a rocking chair, rearranging certain things, putting poster boards on my whiteboard, things like that, pointing to certain things. I make sure that when I buy these things or when I wear them, I'm able to be appropriate in front of anybody, students or other colleagues. Um, as mentioned before, dress for the day you're going to have. Teaching in elementary, I have days where I have recess duty and I live in Texas. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable, but of course, being professional. If I'm going to wear a skirt or if I'm going to be wearing pants, making sure they're not too tight or making sure that they're an appropriate length and able to do the activities that are going to happen throughout the day. Um, Again, with what they look like, a role model, um, a compassionate person, a person who forgives. Um, that is also what they look like and also how they behave. It's important for us to remember that these are young students that we're teaching and they are our future. If we want our future to be bright, we need to make sure that we are presenting ourselves in a professional way, compassionate, kind, and forgiving way to teach them that they can be that way as well as they get older. With the different relationships they have in their life, they can look to us and say, oh, well, Miss Campusano always made sure that I felt safe, even when I was doing something that necessarily didn't meet the expectations of a classroom. Oh, Mrs. Campusano made sure that I met my expectations but didn't publicly shame me for not being prepared for class or for not sticking to the task that we had for the day. They're always going to remember us and they will act the way that we act or present themselves the way we present ourselves. So it's important for us to keep that in the back of our mind so that way when they're older, they can think back to those experiences and help them be the best that they can be as our future leaders. Another thing that I would like to say is to, when we're behaving with students, is for us to correct in private and to praise in public. Nobody wants to be shamed or put on blast, as the kids say, for doing something that didn't meet a classroom expectation. You don't want to yell at a student and have a power struggle during a lesson that is right before a test. You don't want to embarrass a child and then have them shut you out or shut down because you said something that embarrassed them in front of their friends and their classmates. With you pulling them aside, it's very one-on-one, and so you're able to give students that opportunity to speak for themselves and then for you to speak as the teacher and remind them of the expectations that you have for the classroom. And you can really use that time to reflect on how you acted, but also have the student reflect on the way that they interacted in the situation. Praising in public, I feel, is very important. Students aren't complimented or praised enough, I feel. And with you saying, oh, you did really good on this one essay, or are you finally using punctuation, or last week you didn't get the concept of subject and predicate in sentences, and now I feel you have a really good understanding of it. Or if a student is, their Lexile level went up, or they got an A on the vocabulary test. All these little things really add up to something big. Whenever someone says something negative, it takes a couple of positive comments for them to feel like they bounce back. I like to think of it as the opposite way. The more that you praise students, the less you have to pick at them or to correct them on. they're wanting to do good for you. And if you praise them publicly, or with another teacher, oh, so and so did really good on this one. How's he doing in your class? It gives them something to look up to, or to want to achieve, or I really like the way she did that, or man, I love that Mrs. Campusano called my mom and said that I'm doing good. Those little things help you in the classroom, but also give them a great confidence boost. And I feel like that's really great for the classroom community.